Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Crash Course, episode number 212 on deck here. We've got David Diver joining us here in just a moment. He is on the line waiting in the wings to talk a little bit about the Hillbilly Heaven Demolition Derby coming up September 15th down in Lisbon, Ohio. And then we're also going to be catching up with Jason Brodzinski. We have affected the internet's flow tonight by identifying the Caddy that Jason had come across, and we've got some information about that. Turns out the car's a Buick. The fuel Caddy is the one that was in reference, and then we've got another car yet after that to talk about as well. Some news out of the JMW Motorsports camp. Before we get to that, Devin Germain celebrating a birthday. Our man Tom Bell from right here locally having a birthday over the break as well. We've got Chris Reinold, a guy that we've known for a long time, tied with sprint cars, who is celebrating a birthday right now. Michael Molinix, Phil Yaw, and Justin Nevias, one of the model car builders that we've come to know in the last several years, also celebrating a birthday today. JMW Motorsports with Ed Brewster. He's getting ready to head down to Florida. It's official that he's going to be going to the Derby down there in Florida here in a couple weeks with his brand of RC Demolition Derby action, working with JC Mollies and the Syopa Racing clan on that again. They do have the Cars for Kids program that's going to be part of that show as well, where they have sponsors come on board, and then they just hand out tickets to the pit area, draw the ticket, and then a kid wins it. So there's no actually money that changes hands from the parents of the kids and the kids to JMW Motorsports. It's all driven off of sponsorship. It's a great program. They gave away, I think, 4 or 5 cars when they were out at the Bash for Cash back Memorial Day 2017. They gave away a couple of them at Blizzard Bash. And now they're hoping to give away a couple more of them down there. Smith Metal Works was big in on that one, in addition to Syopa Racing, and Jason Sauer was involved. So I'm sure those guys, that cast of characters, is going to be involved and active in that. Cars for Kids is also going to be part of the Finger Lakes Speed World Indoor Demolition Derby that they have in March that JMW is going to be coming up for. That's at Finger Lakes Speed World at Finger Lakes Mall in Auburn, New York. And also just announcing Ed Brewster is going to be part of Road Rage Entertainment's Demolition Derby June the 2nd at the Broome County Fairgrounds in Whitney Point, New York. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that when we run through our ad spots. Right now, we're going to instead, before we get into that, turn our attention to Mr. Dave Diver. Dave, are you there? All right, we're doing okay, Dave. I understand that hunting season in full effect and making every last bit of usable time for the hunting season. You got a deer tonight.
Yeah. This is our last 2 days of muzzleloader season, today and tomorrow. So I got an early birthday present today.
What'd you end up getting?
I just shot a doe. I shot a buck here, so I was just out meat hunting today.
Yeah.
So I shot one and had to take it to the butcher.
How big was it?
She's a nice size doe. I mean, she probably weighs 150 pounds.
That's not bad. Not bad at all.
No.
Is any of that going to be part of the barbecue burn-off that we're going to see at the Hillbilly Heaven show coming up in September?
I'm not sure. I don't know what all the vendors will be cooking there. But it's gonna be a great thing because what it is we're having 3 things there in one day. We're having the Derby, we're having a gun show, and we're having a barbecue burn off.
Right.
And the best thing about it is a lot of the proceeds go to a foundation called Heroes and Halos. Okay. Which helps special needs kids.
Sure.
The lady that started this, she fed like 300 kids for Thanksgiving. She did about 300 Christmas presents for kids. Very, very cool, because we overlook how lucky we are to be able to do everything we want to do.
Sure.
And bring a lot of these kids to the Derby to let them watch, you know, because they have no idea what a Derby is. And when my buddy Justin Garwood and me sat down, he's like, hey, man, he's like, will you help me put on a Derby and everything? And he told me about it, and I said, I'm in, man. You ain't got to ask twice. So me and Justin Garwood, we're going to team up, and we're going to put this Derby on. We're going to I'm in control of all the Derby stuff. He's in control of everything else, you know, and it's going to be a great, great event with great payout also.
Sure. So let's take it from the top for everybody who's not fully up to speed on what's been going on. Dave and I have been talking for a while about this. This is the Hillbilly Heaven Demolition Derby scheduled for September the 15th at the Columbiana County Fairgrounds in Lisbon, Ohio. It's going to be right there on the border between Western Pennsylvania and Ohio. Great location for everybody. That's something that, you know, Dave, you've been working on this for a little while. You're involved with the Reckless Warriors series that was around for a little bit there with Bo Lockwood. We had the privilege of working closely with Bo, and that series ended up going away, and it didn't seem like there was a strong vacuum in that part of the area when the Keystone Nationals had gone away and some of the attention had turned to New Alex, and then Derby dogs have started coming up through trying to secure some of that area. But now that this is on the map, it's on the radar, there's a lot of people that are talking about it. It's certainly drawn a lot of interest from top national caliber drivers when you look at not just the event, but then you also put the payout on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're having a limited weld show, a wire class show, a compact show, a pro show, but the two main classes are going to be the limited weld and the wire class. For the limited weld show, it's going to be $5,000 to win, $3,000, $2,000, $1,500. For the wire class, it's either going to be $1,500 to $2,000 to win, and then go down from there. And plus, in the wire class, we're going to work this out. Either it's going to be the winner gets it, or the hard luck ward gets it. A mint 98 to 02 Crown Vic or Lincoln, whichever one we pick up.
Right. Can't go wrong with that. Depends on what the market offers you, though, right? You got to make sure it's clean, and you got to make sure it's something that's Derby quality, not something that's got a bunch of holes in the rails and no floors.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be a mint ride for sure. I have, when he asked me to help him out and go on about this, and he says, I don't want nothing to do with the Derby. I want you to take control of it. I said, okay. I said, well, I got on the phone to Toby Hiley, to Billy Estep, to Toast, to Bobby Brockway, and a couple other guys. I said, guys, will you help me inspect this show? And every single one of them didn't even hesitate. They're like, absolutely, we're in, man.
Where's Chris Furster and Jim Youngblood fit into this mix?
Well, actually, Chris Furster's going to run, so he's not doing anything. And Jim, he's my best friend, so he'll be there in inspection line too. And that was one thing Toby said. He said, "Hey, he says, I'd like Jim on the team with me because he knows his cars." I said, "Whatever you do, don't tell him that because his head will be so big that he won't be able to get in the truck."
The vacuum thing that we touched on a minute ago, was that part of this? I mean, was it that you were trying to help bring something big back to that part of the country, or was this something that was just sort of in the wings that was tied more to the charities than it was Demolition Derby?
I guess it's a little bit of both.
Sure.
We have a lot of good drivers down in the Columbiana County area. Steve Ziopa, Mark Ziopa, they're only an hour from here. Chris Furster, Corey Roman, they're only like an hour from there. We got Randy Swanson, which is down there. David Frankfurt, he's down there. Brian Schumann. And it's not too far for Pete Hansen to show up either.
Sure.
So I think that with the organization and how much it's going to help kids and, everything, I think it would be a very good event to have people come out and support the event. And it's about a fair derby, I don't want, and that's what I told Justin when I told him, I said, look, I'm going to get the best inspectors there are, and I don't want someone to come through there with a loaded up car and just clean everybody. I want it to go back and let the drivers be drivers and everyone get out and shake hands and have a good time.
Right. Where do the limited weld rules fall in terms of that limited weld spectrum? Is it we've seen out that way? We've seen the super stocks, which would classify as limited weld, and then we've seen some pretty insane limited weld caliber rules, which would be full weld in different parts of the country. So where does that limited weld thing fall in terms of the geography in eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania?
It's smash it rules.
Okay.
When we talked about this, I called Tim up, which is a very good friend of mine too, and I asked him, and I told him what we were going to do, and because he has the fair down there at Columbiana County, and I told him what we were going to do, and I said, can I please use your rules for this, because everyone around here, he has every fair around here.
When you say using their rules, not to cut you off, but just to be clear, when you say smash it rules, it sets off a couple flags to people. I just want to be clear. We're talking about their turn back the clock style rules.
If you go on their website or whatever, it says limited weld.
Okay.
County fair rules.
Gotcha. Okay, we're on the same page now.
Which is basically the turn back the clock, but no leaf springs.
Okay.
No leaf springs.
Gotcha.
For this year anyway. And we followed every rule that Smash It has because, and I didn't change anything except the leaf spring conversions.
Mm-hmm.
And I promised him that I wouldn't change any rules, because they're his rules, and
sure,
he was nice enough to let me have, use those rules without sitting down and copying everything and doing everything right,
So that part of the state is certainly inclined to run those. It certainly helps that you've got Smash It overseeing Columbiana County to start with in Lisbon there. This derby falling on September the 15th. What's this mean in terms of the other shows in the area? I remember Clarion having a big year-end show, or excuse me, not Clarion, Stoneboro having a big year-end show, and then Smash It themselves have had year-end shows in the past. Are you concerned at all about drawing car count?
No, I'm not. I opened the entries up December 29th. Mm-hmm. I already have entries in.
Right.
Stoneboro didn't have a year-end show last year. Smash It, wherever their year-end shows, is like 3.5, 4 hours away from here.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm not worried about car count. I just hope that all the Derby drivers will come out and support this show because, like I said, no one realizes how lucky you are. Sure. To be able to just wake up and do normal stuff and
right.
Go out and do stuff. These kids don't have that. I know that from firsthand because of what, of some of my family members. I know that firsthand, and I know how difficult it can be, and that's why I said I jumped on board as soon as he said that he wants to do a lot of the proceeds to help special needs kids.
It seems like there's more and more of these postseason charity derbies cropping up. We know about the Tigert Memorial, San Filippo Smash, which we're pretty close with. This one, there's others that I know I'm missing off the top of my head. It seems like the Derby family as a whole, regardless of the scale, whether it's a county fair that's having a pass the helmet or it's a postseason show that's dedicated toward that, the Derby family takes care of themselves in a pretty big way. and it certainly is going to help keep this event on solid footing in your first year. Usually there's that first year hangover, so to say, where cars don't turn out. They just sit on the sidelines, and drivers want to see what the inspection process is like. You've got together a band of techs that have worked together at multiple different derbies, so I think you're going to be able to sidestep that, and then you're coming together for the right cause, which is always good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been friends with all the techs for many, many years. Every tech that I have has ran my products or still does run my products.
Right.
And, and it, like I said, the benefit part of it, is everyone gets to have a good night there and have fun at that event. But the real winners are going to be the special needs kids that are going to get stuff that they really need. And the Derby family and community will help those kids out.
What about the format of this? That's one thing that I missed a little bit ago is, are you going to be looking at doing one and done, or is this going to be opened up? So if you get 40, 50, 60 cars, you'll do heats, consies, features.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If we get enough cars to do heats, features, and everything, we're going to do it all. And there's more stuff to come, that I'm working on my end, and Justin's working out. I'm working on a company right now for one of the Mad Dog Awards. Instead of giving them money, to give them a brand new Lincoln 252 welder.
Oh wow!
For a Mad Dog Award.
That's a pretty nice Mad Dog prize right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more stuff to come. I talked to Harris Eichler from Eichler Auto.
Okay.
He said that he would be willing to sponsor the show. So, there might be a set of tires in the deal for something that he wants to pick,
Sure. The format aside, in terms of securing sponsors and stuff like that, is it helping your cause when you start telling them that this isn't just a demolition derby that's for profit per se, but that it's something driven towards helping the kids?
Yeah, we're just starting to talk to sponsors right now as the first year, the first of the year comes around, and everybody's getting their quotas of what they can spend this year and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely helping to say, hey, this is what we're doing. I had one guy that is really big into it, and I got to go talk to him at the end of the week and see where he stands with it. But it's definitely going to be a phenomenal show, and it's just going to grow more and more every year. I put on shows down there in the past, and I quit putting them on down there because of some technicalities with some people. But other than that, once I told people that I was putting one back on, they were excited that we're going to put a show on down there in the fall.
That neck of the woods is pretty enamored with that heavier limited weld build. It's certainly something that they're accustomed to, and the builders down there can handle it. They can turn those cars out pretty quick, especially the guys that are in the swing where the cars have become cookie cutter. They've done a number of the same car over and over again to where they can pop them out pretty fast. Do you anticipate a lot of fresh car builds for this, or do you think that it's going to be a volume of leftover stuff?
I'm going to say that it's probably going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they can build the cars so fast, and they got the technique down so good now that, they can build one of these cars in 2 months. Sure.
Do the rules, would you go so far as to say the rules favor an old iron build?
No. I mean, I if you want my opinion, I think a 98 02 is going to win the show. But old iron's going to be up there too.
Yeah. The 50-50 is going to apply for fresh and pre-run, in addition to being 50-50 for new car, old car?
No, I think you're going to see more new cars than you are old. But you never know. I mean, you just don't know who's going to come, I would like to see a lot of the Kentucky, New York, New Hampshire, all those guys, Wisconsin, Michigan. I'd like to see all those guys come down and, support a great cause.
the Kentucky field could get there probably easier than some of the other shows that have been held on that border in the past. Is that something that they've already expressed interest in making the trip up for?
Some of the guys have. Matter of fact, I was just texting a guy back and forth tonight, right as you called in about the show, and he's from Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
And I already have his entry, so it's going to be. I hope a lot of Illinois, Indiana guys show up, you know, and I hope that a lot of the guys realize how good a text we got and how fair it's going to be, so they ain't got to worry about, you know, am I going to be underbuilt?
Sure. So just to revisit this this topic real quick, again, we're talking about the Hillbilly Heaven Demolition Derby. It's going to be at the Columbiana County Fairgrounds in Lisbon, Ohio, coming up on the 15th of September. Right now, what's your threshold for cars before you transition from being a one and done, where all the cars run at one time, to running heats and features? Are you looking at capping it at 25? Is there a limit to entries in any way for the wire classes or for the limited welder classes?
No, there's going to be no limitations. You know, but once we hit 25 cars, then I will put it on the internet that, hey guys, you know, like a week or so before, hey guys, make sure you bring stuff for heats and features, because we're going to run heats and features. You know, so they don't just show up there with, you know, a gallon of gas and some water, you know.
Right. I think you're selling yourself a little bit short, saying a week before the Derby. I anticipate you'll probably go past your 25 car mark in both the wire and limited weld class well before that.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, you know, I don't want to scare people away either.
Sure.
You know, about, if I put it out there a month and a half, 2 months before that, I don't want people to get scared that haven't entered yet.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying that if we get 60 cars that we might run 230 heat features and pay out the same amount in each heat.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be impressive. Running for the money and in two different, just take the field and split it in half. I know the general consensus in our travel seems to be that people are preferring the one and done because they don't have to bring stuff. They don't have to worry about rolling around in the dirt. They don't have to worry about fixing stuff in the pits. They don't have to worry about retech. They don't have to bring spare tires, extra gas, sledgehammers, torches, jacks, all the stuff that goes with it. They can just go wreck their car and load it up when they're done. So that there's certainly something to say for that idea of taking, if you've got that number of cars, if you've got 50 cars or 40 cars, just splitting the field in half even numbers and run for equal money.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible that we would probably do that. You know, it all depends on the weather conditions too.
Sure.
But I want to, like I said, if the real winners that night are the kids that will be there that have special needs that never got to see a derby before.
Right.
I would like to have them see, look, after this guy wins his heat, he's got to go back and he's got to fix his car and he's got to do this and he's got to do that. And, you know, let the people that are there with them take them around and show them what goes on and how exciting and how much work actually goes in to the Demolition Derby world and how involved it is compared to playing video games or something else, you know, because you don't know what, you know, if there's 50 kids there and 20 of them really enjoy it and they want to come back at every show, you know, I mean, you know, there's like Chris Verster, Pete Hansen, Mike DeFriscio, you know, those could be some of those kids as heroes. You don't know that until they talk to them, and all three of those people, and plus a ton more people, would actually stop and talk to them and say hi and stuff, you know, because that's the way the Derby community is. They're very generous, and if someone had a question, one of those kids, one of those drivers would answer it for them.
Absolutely, there's no question there. And I like what I like what you're saying with that side of things, and certainly I think people that are strangers to the sport, that are on the outside looking in or haven't been around it or just have a cursory knowledge of what Demolition Derby is, they may not appreciate how hands-on the sport can be, especially when you're moving from a heat to a feature, not just what happens in the garage before the day of the Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. And kids with autism, kids with Down syndrome, they might really get into that, to where a lot of those kids like to do hands-on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it might spark them into finding someone that actually does derby and go over and help them in the garage, get them out of those video games, or get them out of the house, that they just sit in the corner. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much work these kids actually are.
Right.
And when they find something they really love, which a lot of them would love derbying, you can't stop them.
Right.
They want to go to every derby in the world.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, not at all.
In addition to the Derby, you touched on it a bit ago, the gun show is happening the same day as the Demolition Derby and the barbecue burn-off.
Yeah, everything's happening in that day. $20 gets you into all three. So if you want to come at 11 o'clock in the morning and go to the gun show, and we're going to have a prize for the winner of the barbecue. We're going to have tickets when you walk in, we're going to give you tickets, say, a 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put it you're going to put your favorite one into a bowl, your second favorite one into a bowl, and your third one into the favorite of the bowl. And the winner is going to get, cash prize also for that.
Sure. The cook-off sounds awesome. The gun show. How difficult is it to align a gun show with a Demolition Derby at an open air facility like a fairgrounds?
Well, it's not easy, I can tell you that. But
believe it.
We're better else to have a gun show with a bunch of hillbillies that love to smash cars.
Right. I get the captive market. I understand where you're going with it. I'm with you there, but it just seems like, in all seriousness, the logistics of having a gun show and being able to market the products that come with a gun show and put those into people's hands, there's got to be some red tape that you have to jump through.
We're doing it pretty good. We're setting it up really well, and like I said, Justin's more involved in that part of it than I am. I'm just strictly the derby part of it, and he's the ribs burn off or the barbecue burn off guy in the gun show. But we're both hunters. We're both country guys. We know a lot of people that are into gun shows and go set up at gun shows and everything. So we're going to have a nice selection of guns there also for people to look at, buy, do whatever they want. And then after the gun show, walk around and you can get a barbecue, pork sandwich. You can get anything barbecue you want there. I don't know what's all going to be there. A lot of the people won't tell you what's going to be there until the day of.
Right.
And but there's going to be a lot of good food, I can tell you that.
Barbecue people are just as secretive about their products as derby car builders and what the cars that they're building and what they're doing to them.
I think they're more secretive.
I'm not going to argue the point. I'm not going to argue on that. That's I'd go with you on that topic.
Yeah,
have we got a website or any place that we can go to find out more information about the Hillbilly Heaven Derby, September the 15th in Lisbon, Ohio?
We're working on a website.
Okay.
Hopefully within the next week or two it'll be up and everything. You'll be able to get all the rules from there. You'll be able to get all the information you want there. Everything you need from the website. Hopefully within a week or two it'll be up and running.
Awesome. Is there anything that we may have missed? I know you said you got a bunch of people that are helping you out. We mentioned a bunch of the inspectors' names. I don't want to miss anybody.
No, I mean, like I said, Toby Hiley, Billy Estep, Toast, Jim Youngblood, Bobby Brockway, and Trey Nichols said he would come up and help me.
Cool.
So we got, really, really top-notch guys, stand-up guys, just going to be a great thing that happens. And the best thing is it's going to help special needs kids.
It's a great cause, and you're in a builder's part of the country with a builder's group of inspectors. So I think it's going to be pretty even front to back. There's going to be a lot of parity when those cars get to the track for the qualifying rounds, and also when they get back out there for the features at the Hillbilly Heaven Demolition Derby, Lisbon, Ohio, September the 15th. Dave, working very close on that one. You'll have to keep us posted as you get some more entries and stuff in, as you finalize formats, you finalize payouts and things along those lines. Keep us posted through the course of the summer as we get closer to this one. I like the direction this is going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep you guys posted. And, I'll see you at other derbies and everything. And it's like I said, it's just going to get bigger and better. The more people we talk to, the more sponsors we try to get. I think it's going to be one hell of a show and a lot of top-notch drivers, and we'll see how it goes.
I like the sounds of it, Dave.
All right.
I appreciate you coming on. Good luck bowling. I know you got to go.
All right, thanks, man.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. There goes Dave Diver. He's off to get to his bowling. 6:45. So we gave him a few extra minutes. We've got to run through this stuff quick, and then we're going to be back with Jason Brodzinski here momentarily. First, out of the blocks, Bash for Cash 2018 at the Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. Near at Big Rock, $11,000 kicker class is going to be one of the headline events. New and Old Iron combined this year. Near it and Big Rock jumping behind that one. There's an Old Iron bonus. Extra $3,000 to win if an Old Iron can win the new or the kicker class. There's an extra $1,500 on the line to the highest placing Old Iron if the event is won by a metric. We're going to flip that around for the DerbyTees.com Turn Back the Clock class. There's a metric bonus. If a metric car wins, they get an extra $3,000, or then an extra $1,500 on the line for the highest placing metric if the Turn Back the Clock class is won by an Old Iron car. $10,000 to win DEC Headers Compact class, Frank the Tank Old School Wire class, full-size trucks, Youth Compact trucks. They all have openings at $75 to enter. The 80s Wire class and the Street Stock divisions are full. Smash It Demolition Derbies, they are I believe they're at the Fair Convention right now for Ohio. So they're going to be with us next week to talk about the season. There's going to be something like 40-some dates, plus Bash for Cash, plus Capital City Carnage, plus Blizzard Bash. They're going to be really, really busy out there online. Smash It Derbies, SmashItDerby.com. Moving on, Stern Dirt Racing. They are bracing for May Mania, which is just about 5 months away or so. May Mania set for May 18th and 19th at that awesome new facility at the Utah State Fairgrounds in Salt Lake City. And it's going to be a 2-day show. 18th is going to be all the qualifying. 19th is going to be the grudges in the morning. Time to fix the cars and come back with the features. Basically, the format, if you're wondering more about it, it's what they did with the Wasatch Wipeout at Heber City. And then May Mania is going to, not only is that the kickoff for the Stern Dirt Racing season, but Stern Dirt also wants to thank all the driver supporters, partners, and the fans that helped make 2017 a successful year for Stern Dirt Racing. And coming back to Smash It Demolition Derbies, Capital City Carnage, scheduled for March 15th through 17th at the Kansas Expo Center, Topeka, Kansas. March the 15th is the heat draws. They're going to have inspection all day from 7 to 10 is the pit party and the heat draws. March the 16th, it's Friday, 7 o'clock start time for the 10 limited weld heats. Only the top 2 will advance. So going to have to be watching close on that one, only 2. So it's going to give us 20 cars. We're going to come back with a doubleheader on March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 10 o'clock start times. The limited weld constellation is going to be 5 of those, advancing 2 more, which is going to give us another 10 to set the field for potentially 30 cars on track at one time. The compact feature is also scheduled for the 17th at 10 a.m., 2,500 to win there. 7 o'clock start time for the extreme 2-man feature, 2,500 to win, and the modified feature, also part of that 2,500 to win program in the evening, and then finishing it out will be the Limited Weld Finals, $10,000 to win there, and $5,000 Mad Dog Award. As we get Jason Brodzinski on the line here, you'll hear him talking in the background momentarily. The Florida Southern National Showdown, February the 10th, 2018. two-man team demolition derby. 20 teams from all over the nation are going to be competing. The Hernando County Fairgrounds is the site of it, Brooksville, Florida. Hernando County Fairgrounds is the site. HernandoFairgrounds.com is where you can get more information. Again, 6436 Broad Street, Brooksville, Florida. J.C. Molly's John Cash working hard on putting that one together. Winter Slam is also the same day, February the 10th, 2018 in St. Peter, Minnesota. Full-size world class paying $2,000 to win, 35 cars max. It's $1,350, $750, $500. They're paying back through the top 10 in all the divisions at Winter Slam this year, which is sort of protocol last several years. 4 one-and-dones, the order of the day. 80 chain class, we're going to see if Colton Newhofen can win another one in a row. $1,000 to win that one. $750, $400 back through 10th. They are paying there. Light build trucks, 35 max, $1,000 to win, $600, $300, $200, $150 through the top 5. Compacts, 108 inches and under, 35 car max, $1,000, $600, $300, $200, $150. Each class has a heavy hitter, $300 into the trophy. Best paint, $100 and a plaque. Longest tow, $100. Second longest, $75. Best Western Mankato still has rooms available. You've only got about a month to book them. $99 for a double, $109 for poolside. 507-625-9333. Contact Randy Lasowski for more details. 507-327-1944 or Jeremy Ertman, 507-525-4290. And rounding out our break, if we can get the screen to change, there it goes. Road Range Entertainment, June the 2nd. They're taking over the Broome County Fairgrounds in Whitney Point, New York. The Team Derby element, compact truck, and full-size V8s. The compact teams are sold out at this point. Truck teams, 1 spot left. The full-size V8 still has some team spots available. So if you are interested, there's only limited selection of those, but there are a few team spots available for full-size V8 teams on the card as well. One-and-dones for the full-size V8 junk runs and the compacts. It's $1,000 guaranteed in each of the one-and-dones to win. RC Derby with JMW Motorsports on the docket as well. The Power Wheels are going to be part of it, and this neat addition is the Kids Zone and Play area where there's going to be basically babysitters. If the kids are getting bored looking for something to do, they can go there. There's going to be coloring books, all sorts of stuff to occupy kids if they're getting bored of the Derby so mom and dad can keep watching the Derby. Kind of a neat addition. Road Rage Entertainment is online, facebook.com/Road Rage Enter / that's the Compact Team Derby, June the 2nd, Broome County Fairgrounds in Whitney Point, New York. And now turning our attention to Jason Brodzinski, who is joining us on the hotline. Jason, man, how are you?
Good, how are you?
We're doing okay. Did your phone stop going off yet?
Not yet, no.
We rattled the internet's cage a little bit talking about the Cadillac that Jason had found. It was the Fuel Caddy, I guess was probably the better way of saying it, and it was a super clean Buick was what you had on the trailer when you were up here in New York. And nonetheless, that Buick was turning plenty of heads. And that is also not the car that Josh was telling me about. There's another car that you're working on. So you tell me where you want to start first. Do you want to start talking about the Fuel Caddy? Do you want to start talking about the Buick? Do you want to talk about the car going to Bash for Cash? You tell me.
Small.
What's that?
We'll start small. We'll start with the Fuel Caddy.
Okay. So we've got the Fuel Caddy that you've come into possession of, like, what, 30 of them, something crazy like that?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
That Jason has generously donated to Josh Buell and San Filippo, and that's going to be raffled off in some way, shape, or form. That Buell is sort of at the helm of that. Where in the world did you get all these Fuel Caddies, and how much easier does it make life?
Well, they're a nice little unit. I got them from Jeff Collier.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up doing some swapping and ended up with, I don't know, maybe 26 of them, somewhere around there.
Right.
And he posted, I think he had like 50-some, and he blew up Facebook and everybody wanted them. And I thought, well, I want some, and I'm sure people I know want some. And he actually ordered a cradle and some parts, and we kind of just ended up swapping out. So I've been trickling them out. I'm going to keep some for myself. A couple family members wanted them, and they're pretty much gone. I might have a couple more left. I'll bring to Sturgis, but they're a nice little unit. Filters the fuel or oil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever you wish, hydraulic oil, transmission fluid. I think most people use race fuel, but it filters it before it puts it in the car.
Right.
The hand pump, nice little unit.
And it certainly makes lugging the gas around a whole lot easier than toting those jugs and trying to pour them different directions.
For sure. We used to bring a 55-gallon drum, and then you were having to worry about keeping the pump clean and everything, and then you looked over and things got hectic at Blizzard Bash and the pump's sitting in the dirt, and yeah, I think it'll help in a lot of different ways.
And again, the waffles for San Filippo is where you're going to be able to find more information on that. You can look up Josh Buell online. He's going to be waffling that off, whichever way they decide to move that along. But I know they're very grateful for that coming their direction, and it's going to make somebody's life a whole lot easier once that gets into their hands.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be I don't know what kind of ratio, how much it's going to be to buy a spot, but somebody's going to have a nice unit for not a lot of money.
The next order of business, we'll talk a little bit about this Buick. You're turning a lot of heads when you're up here in New York with that Buick that you had on the trailer. Where did that come from, and is that one of the cleanest Buicks you've ever come across?
I won that on a waffle. I bought a spot, came from Illinois. I bought one spot for $100, and I was sitting here helping a buddy work on his snowmobile, and took a little break, checked my phone, and all these people were messaging me, you won, and you prick, and everybody giving me some shit about it. And I came from Swanson. They're pretty known, or they're known for having some nice, clean stuff. And
right.
I'd say the body, wasn't up in the 100%, but the interior was. There was some cracks on the driver armrest. I pulled it in after I got home from New York, and it got all salty. I pulled it in the shop and washed it. And I had a hair up my butt one day, and I'm like, I'm going to re-waffle it. So I re-waffled it for what they did, and Travis Inger ended up winning it.
So what's the future hold for that car? Do you know where it's going to end up?
Boy, he likes his Buicks, and I told him I told him he's got to enjoy it and at least drive it for a while. So
yeah.
But I'm going to probably think it's going to end up getting wrecked. But I told him he's at least got to drive it and enjoy it. And I mean, the hubcaps on it are flawless, and I know Randy Swanson wanted them back.
Yeah.
If someone was going to smash it, so interior's just immaculate.
Wow.
It's just like you went in a time capsule and went back to 1976.
It was a gorgeous car. It was certainly turned a lot of heads when it was here, and people were making some pretty silly offers on it, but they never were able to get the car off you.
No. Tim Clark was wanting it, and we when I came out by you guys, as the night went, the time just flew,
Yes.
It started out, we got there, and all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock, and you start talking to people. Next thing you know, I think we went to bed at 2 in the morning, and I was up at 4 showering, and we were on the road by 5 something.
Yeah, it does become a bit of a time warp. You're not near any windows or anything, and all of a sudden the ball was dropping at midnight.
Yeah, you don't have enough. I was talking to everybody, and there just wasn't enough time to make rounds. And
well, we do appreciate you coming up. It was good to see you, and I'm glad that you had a good time. And I know a lot of people were excited to meet you, and even if it was just a quick hello to get a couple words with you, they were pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, it was fun. Tracy was really bummed out she missed, and maybe we'll have to make it again
next year. There's always another December 31st coming, and as long as the Holiday Inn will have us back, we'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
So you had some conversations with Tim Clark, who you're going to be seeing quite a bit this year when you figure Capital City Carnage, Blizzard Bash, and Bash for Cash. And you're building a Crown Vic that's going to be raffled off. Can you tell us any more about that program?
Well, I did that first waffle, and Boar ended up winning.
Yep.
And it got a lot of interest, and it was more than I ever thought. And, waffles have taken over Facebook, and some people love them, some people hate them,
Sure.
So that first one got so much attention. I did every part on there, kind of like one of everything at a retail price, wasn't marking anything up.
Right.
And I thought, well, what else can be done with this? So I decided to do a turnkey Bash for Cash kicker class car, and it'll be a 98 02 Crown Vic.
Mm-hmm.
Actually picked it up in Georgia. I was maybe a month ago. I was down in Georgia.
You travel a lot.
Yeah, I get around. So we have to iron out the details on how we're taking payment, and I brought in Gully and Buell on this. Mm-hmm. I got into the whole San Filippo thing a little late. I'd seen some things on Facebook, didn't really know. At first I thought it was a county fair. Didn't know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being out at your New Year's Eve party really kind of tuned me in on it and what's going on out there and what San Filippo is and Jeremy Gully's family and everything. So I thought that's when I did that fuel caddy, and then I want to do more. I figured out how many spots will cover the cost of the car. Ryan Songalewski will be building the body and frame, making it a complete roller. I will then get it back here and assemble the puzzle. You know, I'll be ordering all the parts, all the cage material, down from every nut, every zip tie, wiring, brand new batteries. I know a lot of people, you know, might think that they're doing the math, how many spots times how much a spot, and there's not going to be. I will be getting paid some time to assemble it, but it's not a huge money maker. I mean, logistics and everything plays a factor. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
And there were some comments. The guy said, "Well, you know, the big shots are going to get in and buy a bunch of spots." And I said, "Well, ask Boar Christensen how that worked out for him." And I tagged him in it. That's kind of why I'm doing it. You know, just to give someone an opportunity to get into that class. It might be someone that's watched it from the TV or been there and wants to run. Everybody's got a chance. It's going to almost be like playing the lottery.
Right.
And it have better odds than, you know, I don't know what the lottery is, how many ever million.
Right.
So what we're doing there, 333 spots will cover the cost of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to cap the spots. And after that, all that extra money will be donated to Gully and their San Filippo efforts.
I think that's very kind. I know that means a lot to those guys, and it hits home a lot for all of us out here that have worked so closely with Jeremy. He's got a big heart and would do anything for anybody in Demolition Derby. And the response that he's got so far this year already for San Filippo, they're really, really trucking towards hitting that goal, which everybody thought it was just astronomical and virtually impossible to hit that $50,000 mark. And it really seems like they're going to do it. You know, Josh Beal's been doing a great job with the waffles in terms of trying to generate a lot of interest and a lot of buzz around San Filippo and keep that at the forefront of the conversation for the duration of the year. You know, starting right off, as soon as San Filippo 2017 was over, we were talking about 2018, and now to have that support, it means a lot to everybody out here. It was just today that they were sharing some motivational thoughts regarding San Filippo on social media, and I see it's gotten a lot of traction, which is good. It's a horrible affliction with no cure. That is at this point it's going to be terminal, and to try and generate anything they can to help boost the research and the ability to somehow knock that thing out, so no kids have to deal with that, no families have to contend with that challenge. Is phenomenal, and we do greatly appreciate that.
I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I couldn't imagine someone saying that her clock's ticking. You know, you would expect someone to live their life, get up in the, you hope, 80s, 90s. You know what I mean? Not sure. You don't know if they're going to make it out of their teen years. Yeah,
it's pretty heavy, but they make the most of it for sure. You know, they do everything they can.
Yeah, you have to.
Valid, very true. Around the corner, we're looking St. Patrick's Day weekend, Capital City Carnage. Are we going to bump into you down there?
Yeah, we're gonna. I really enjoyed that show. That first year they had it, and Sam paid $30,000. I went out there and ran. Mm-hmm. Then they lightened up the rules, and I went and vended and watched. And I actually really, really enjoyed that, because sometimes I bite off a little more than I can chew, and I vend and run.
Right.
I shouldn't say just me. I have a lot of support, you know. But so I really enjoy going out there, helping people with, you know, we have the full enclosed trailer, and we keep adding. Every show I keep adding and trying to have more, get more organized, and full bullpen, and, you know, spare brake parts, just everything. And there's so many people in this sport that make parts, you know.
Sure.
And hands off to them. If they're putting food on the table, they're supporting their derby hobby. I don't think I should be the only vendor. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you get people who directly copy, and that's a whole nother Monday. But what I have been seeing is that we are like a trackside, you know, like a help. We are support more so than a vendor. We support the people. And I've had people come up and say, hey, I need this, this, and this. And I'm like, grab it. We'll worry about payment later. Go get your car fixed, get it to the track, and you can, pay me after the show. Send me a check when you get home. If you have to make payments, whatever you got to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Focus on having people taken care of on that end, and not just at home shipping out parts. I bought a new trailer and organized it and outfitted it for everything. And we try to have cooler full of water, and sometimes we grill out and do the whole donut burger thing and all that, and just
right.
Just be a support.
How much consulting do you end up doing at a derby beyond just your parts? Not so much the execution of the installation or the right way to do one thing or another, but you get a guy that's just bent their car and they don't even know where to start. Do you get a lot of people trying to pick your brain, and you find yourself in a consultant role when people are trying to fix entries moving from heats to features?
At the Derby and every day at home, there's motor questions and build questions and running fuel lines and regulators and all different stuff. It's almost like, not to say in a bad way, but it's like you almost sold your soul to the devil. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it's a part of your life. It's all day, every day. Every once in a while, I'll shut the phone off and we'll go out to eat,
mm-hmm.
and we'll go do things. But it not to say it takes over. It's not a burden on my shoulders, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I can relate. I understand where you're coming from there. Does not so much the burnout factor, but does it get to a point where you get how do I say it? You get wore out answering the same question over and over again? You wish you had a tape recorder so you could just play the answer when you get the question?
No, because when it gets like that, I'll start having fun with people and kind of start, having them answer their own questions and
right.
Go that road.
Sure.
Have fun with it. I think you asked me last year at Winter Slam if maybe you might have been Josh Decker. Do you ever are you sick of it? And I said no. When I do, I probably won't do it anymore.
Right.
I quit a factory job. It was a decent job, and then took this on. I didn't like going to the factory. That's why I quit.
Right.
And I don't know. This could be another year. It could be the rest of my life. But I enjoyed doing it, and there's no question is a stupid question. I give everybody a couple minutes of my time anyway, especially at the shows.
Do you get tired of hearing about the story where the fuel neck broke on your Topeka car and it soaked you with gasoline?
I just tried to pass that on to Chris Burkbigler, even though it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
I just blame it on him. It was how I kind of we found a gray area in the rules like we always do, and
right.
Over the years you kind of learn to some of that stuff's a little nonsense, but I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today or be selling the parts I did if I didn't wow everybody, when I started. Right, with
the man-eater bumpers.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah,
that was a good one.
we had to go into Topeka and buy steel to cap the front.
Right. Well,
we just told everybody that we had it. We planned on capping it, even though I think I forgot to get it cut out. But
that's all right. It looked good anyway.
Keep everybody on their toes.
Sure. The Winter Slam Derby, you've gone up there in the past. Is that another one that's on your radar for this year?
Yeah, I think I took in like 4 pre-orders today for that show. So we're gonna, and that's not it's not too far away for me, and we're gonna head over there. Hopefully, last year got a little where we were at got a little muddy. Hopefully, we can set up and get a good spot, and that's fun to watch too.
Yep. We'll be making our way out there, and then the rest of the boys are going to be heading out to Florida the same day for the Florida Southern Nationals. So that's going to be a fun day at Demolition Derby. Depends on how far you're willing to travel and how cold you're willing to be.
For sure. Are you guys heading to Mandan this year?
There's been discussions about Mandan. There's a lot of shows that we've talked to. It's just a matter now of finalizing things. Now that we've got to the first of the year, we backed off of our pace a little bit when we got close to New Year's. Wanted to make sure everything was going to work out right for that, and then take a little time off around the holidays. It's just easier to take a little bit of time off and kind of like you said, just unplug from it from a little bit. We're going to be rolling in pretty heavy on artwork again here in a couple of days. We're going to be rolling in pretty heavy on magazine production. It's going to be right back to, it'll be no different than it is in mid-July any other year, but it just starts in January now and persists up until about the 10th of December.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing. Get that little, I wasn't able to do a whole bunch when I hurt my arm. And
oh, how was it? How'd that recover? Everything back to full range of motion?
No, not yet, but it seems like it gets better every day.
Yeah, that's good. That was a pretty crazy wreck right there. Having that happen was.
Well, I remember when I ran Capital Carnage, I made a hit on Chad Markley, and I came out the windshield, and my helmet was close to the header. And I've been rolled and been on my side, and you just watch the film, you watch the in-car cam, and you're like, how'd that happen? Sometimes the littler hits, make a bigger impact. Just
luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything was aligned right, and I had to have Tracy help me put my pants on. You appreciate life, and you step back, and you kind of go, wow,
Sure.
Take all that stuff for granted. You imagine if somebody who, isn't in perfect health or got hurt, and you just kind of take a breath and get through it.
What ultimately ended up happening? You didn't need to have surgery on that, correct? Or did you?
No. Fracture behind the wrist, sprained the wrist, and then they talked about contusion, and I don't know if that got into the bone or it got into the muscle.
Oh. What effect did that have on you at the shop and with the construction? I can't imagine that was doing you any favors.
Well, concrete's pretty done. We won't start back up till late April, May. So, shop-wise, pretty much everything. I mean, everything for the left hand was probably for about 4 to 6 weeks there.
Oof.
I finally was able to, start using it, and it had light weight limits and had this little, thing to rebuild strength. Squeezing this little spring-loaded deal for my hand, and start all over.
Were you teaching Tracy how to run the cutters and the welders, or she already know how to do that anyway?
No, she actually was out helping today, and that's when we found that. I believe Mandan and Metal Mayhem are on the same date.
That's right, yes.
And she's like, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. We've never been out to Mandan. We wanted to go, and people have asked us to go.
Right.
My buddy Matt Stenberg's running, so I want to go see him.
Mm-hmm.
But Mayhem's always been pretty good to us, so might talk to my Uncle Brian and send some parts with him and take some of his parts up to Mandan and try to cover both areas.
Sure. Well, it's that time of year you got to start figuring out where you're going to go because it's going to be on top of us quick, isn't it?
Yeah. Sturgis, Kentucky will be here at the end of the month, and we're filling all the waffle orders and trying to fill the trailer with inventory, and I don't have a big enough trailer. I found that out.
This is the new trailer, and it's not big enough still?
No, it's not. I made aluminum and dedicated aluminum shelving in there, and there's not as much room for cradles, which I figured cradles would be slowing down, but got a pretty good amount on order now that I have to go down there and meet on the way down.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to fit it all.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, Ralph Lee just bought my old trailer, so the 50-footer, and I worked out good because he brought cradles to Blizzard Bash. We ran out of room there too.
Never stops.
No, and we got into ball joints and tie rods and all that stuff, and it took up a lot of space in the trailer trying to keep everything organized, and we lost floor space for others, but I think it's working out all right.
You could always get another trailer if you had to.
Yeah, we got into that when I run. We got to haul a flatbed, so
yeah.
Yeah, got to have. I brought one of the concrete trucks, the Blizzard Bash. It was an F550, but it's geared so low, so I'm looking for like an F250, 350 diesel. I can haul the flatbed. We'll be taking two.
I'm sure your phone will start blowing up with people looking to sell their trucks.
Right.
Jason, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck at Sturgis when you get down there at the end of the month, and I look forward to catching up with you when we're up there at Winter Slam, man. We're just about out of time.
Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Jason, thanks again. We appreciate what you're doing for San Filippo with the cars, and everybody stay tuned to Waffles for San Filippo. Josh Buell's going to have that fuel caddy out there here in the coming days. So again, Jason, thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course. We appreciate everybody listening, and we'll be back here again next Monday here at the North Park Building at Academy Square here in downtown Seneca Falls. We'll see everybody then.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah, online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.